So you know I'm a Portman enthusiast.
I don't know what that is, but I respect it. I
It's
respect your decision to do it.
it's a portmanteau of portmanteau and enthusiast. So I'm an enthusiast for portmanteaus.
Oh, I was one of those for a minute or two.
Short-term portman enthusiast.
Yeah, back when I had to perform my portmanteaus, you know? There's this thing about dating profiles, Jesse, that sometimes when you put stuff in there and you don't really think it through, and then you start talking with someone and they're like, "So you love portmanteaus?" And you're like, "Yeah, of course I do. They're fucking awesome." And they're like, "What's your favorite one?" And you're like, "Meatball."
Well, the reason I bring that up is because here at the end of the dinosaur season, we are reviewing a book that I'm choosing to view its title as a portmanteau.
Oh, really? What book is that?
It's Predation.
Huh, you mean the book I have open in a PDF on my desktop, ready
Yeah,
and
the
ready
book
and
that I
willing
have
to
the
talk
physical
about?
copy of right here.
Whoa! When did that come in?
I know I've had this for a long time.
Oh,
That's
really?
that's why I included it on the list. But I'm choosing to think of it as a portmanteau of predator and nation.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Predator Nation.
Whoa! I want to play that role-playing game in addition to this one.
Well, then I'm gonna leave out all the To Catch a Predator jokes I was about to make.
Oh, I thought it was like a Predator, like Aliens versus Predator, but I
Yeah,
guess
no,
like
no.
Aliens versus Predator, the game you're thinking of is it doesn't matter who wins. We
Well,
all
yeah, I mean,
lose.
whoever wins, we lose. Like that's just the situation.
Wow.
All right. So today we are going to we're going to review Predation. And obviously, this is a great pick because it is a very dinosaur heavy RPG supplement for the Cypher system. I don't think we really need to go into too much beyond why it's a good fit for the season. And I do just want to point out we purchased our PDFs or books ourselves. We
That's
are
right.
not beholden to Monte Cook Games in any way, though you can send us free stuff, Monte Cook Games. We would not be mad about that. And yeah, we also, this is a read through review. We have not been able to find time to get it on our table yet.
Yeah, I don't know if it ever is going to make it to my table, Jesse, but I hope one day. The Cypher system is this elusive strategy that evades my mental comprehension because I keep threatening to play it, I keep threatening to run it, and it never happened.
Yes, is the Cypher system the manic pixie dream girl of RPGs?
I mean, it's mine, apparently.
You're just like in an apartment, and then like the Cypher system book's like, watch this, and does a little pirouette, and you're like, oh, you're so free spirited.
Okay, predation. I don't want to take a tangent on how much I dislike the manic pixie dream girl in
Yeah, that,
our collective consciousness in our zeitgeist milieu. Anyway,
yep, because that would be a whole separate episode.
it'd be
And so,
me complaining a lot.
yes. Well,
Okay.
hopefully the review for this book won't be you complaining
That's why it
a
was
lot.
deep size, Jesse. I like this game, despite the fact that I said that, like, I don't know if I would ever play this game. It's not because I'm not interested in it. When we had originally started talking about it, I was like, I don't know if this is exactly the game for me. But when we went back in for the reread to do this episode, I was like, you know what? This is fucking awesome. This is everything we love about role-playing games. And that's one of the strengths of the Cypher system is it takes, it's like that scene from that one movie with that one guy where he's like, I want all of that in here. It's like they put everything in the fucking car and all you got to do is fucking tear ass down the expressway and push a button and shoot a missile. So let's get going on this book. I can't wait.
Okay. We'll start with the sort of story potential and vibes of the game. What do you think after your reread through? What kind of stories does this game want to tell? And this is one of the areas where I feel like I'm going to wind up the same place I did with the Transformers game. And then like
Okay.
I'll actually play the starter set and have to make a TikTok where I apologize.
All right, we'll go into that real quick, just so you know. There's a couple of episodes now out about the John D. Mantis. So in case somebody hasn't heard or viewed that one, what the fuck are you talking about?
Okay, in the Transformers review, I kind of came to the conclusion of the Transformers game that like I really liked the potential, but it felt this is not the exact same thing. The Transformers game felt kind of samey to 3.5 in ways that I'm like, I don't know why we needed to stick to this as the
Right.
design with all the things that have happened. But then I've actually got to play it twice with all the little spinders and the upshift dice system. I'm like, oh, actually, this makes total sense. This is really fun.
Yeah.
Um, so I issued a formal apology to the good people at Renegade Game Studios via a TikTok that I think 8 people watched.
I
Uh,
was not one of them. How did Renegade Studios respond?
they didn't. I was so hurt because I had expected them to like right away.
Right, right. Okay,
So,
so what's the parallel then to Predation?
okay. So here is the thing. These are my ungenerous takes about Cypher System. And I feel like to do this, I have to do a little bit. Is your room misting?
Yes.
Okay. You're creating a Jurassic fog for the field.
No,
I love it.
there is a there's an elder vampire returning from torpor
Oh,
behind me.
nice.
Is slowly coalescing out of his mist form to pop up behind me. It should occur at the end of the episode when he drinks my blood and the screen
Okay.
goes black.
That'll be amazing.
No, it's a humidifier, Jesse.
Okay. Okay.
It's very dry in here.
Well, I appreciate the Vampire the Masquerade reference and the
I
use of
try.
the word torpor. So,
I try.
okay. So, Cypher System, real quick, in overview. Cypher System is a game where DMs do not roll dice.
Mm-hmm.
And Cypher System is a game that is focused on exploration and discovering new things. That seems to be a universal across all their supplements.
Yep.
That said, the universality of the mechanics is great, but there are times, this book especially, where I felt like it just this is an ungenerous take and I need to just play it because but I was like, it feels kind of samey. Like in the gear section, I'm getting ahead of
Mm-hmm.
myself here, but in the gear section, there's all these descriptions of like these cool different materials that armor is made out of. Like this stuff is grown by like giant orb weaver spiders that have been genetically engineered to make this armor strands. And then you look at the stats and it's all just like light armor, 1 point of armor, medium armor, 3 points of armor, heavy armor, 5 points of armor. And it just felt kind of samey. But then I'm like, it's not like the equipment thing in 5e does anything different. So I need to reassess that.
Yeah. A big part of what makes the Cypher system so appealing to me is that the sameness that you're referencing is a system that is very plug and play, and it's very easy to take something and adapt it into a different setting or a different theme. And on the surface, that may seem like a negative or a drawback, but to me, that's a positive because it means if I'm running a fantasy game, I can use the guy who controls robots, right? I can just make them into toys or anything else, right? The rules just all work regardless of the system. So it does have a sameness kind of feel, but the fact that they took that much time to go into the lore, as my as my friend who's not into gaming or science fiction said the other day, the lore about me. I'm like, there's no lore about you.
In the
You're
first stage of men.
you're not using this word correctly. Just because you're telling a story about your childhood doesn't mean you get to call it your lore or the lore about me, but whatever. The point I'm trying to make is that, the fact that they took the time to create that thematic element to what is essentially just our armors in the Cypher system, I really appreciate that. I think
Yeah.
that's the crux of what makes gaming from a creative side.
Yeah, I feel like that's the thing that I'm calling it out for being like, this is my gut feeling about it, but I know it's probably wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because like if I apply the same logic I do to like my love of OSR games or like old school essentials where like there's not a whole lot of mechanical difference, it's because it's really the mechanics aren't supposed to be the part where you are legitimately like telling a big story.
Hmm.
Um, so what kind of stories does this tell?
This tells all the stories we mentioned in the first couple of episodes leading up to this one and more, because it has a very powerful science fiction element of like unknown anomalies.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally hate time travel in most forms of fiction and entertainment. And I think that this setting also handles like time anomalies and time travel and different aspects of that, storytelling tradition. I think it handles it really well in this role playing game. And I think the Cypher system helps bring that to flesh that out and make it exciting. So this
Yeah,
is,
and that's
go ahead.
with the Cypher system, of course, you have the ciphers, which are like one or two shot magic items that are you're supposed to constantly be running through as like a sort of a chaos agent in your character, like I can do this cool thing. And one of the main reasons that the ciphers are here is the time anomalies, because the basic story of the setting, I know we've talked about on a different episode, is time travel is created in the future. They start sending people back to the Cretaceous period. This organization called SATI sends people back. And then one day, called the last commute, time travel just stops working. And so
Mhm.
now it's like 90 years later, and there's all these human commuters from the future who are stuck in the late Cretaceous. Time travel doesn't work, but they still have a lot of advanced technology like genetic engineering and cybernetics, which they use on themselves and on dinosaurs, um, creating this world with this sort of sci-fi time travel mystery where you're not actually traveling in time, but you're dealing with the fallout of it while also dealing with uh, a wilderness that can be pretty antithetical to human life.
Yeah.
Cool. This is one of the areas where I also kind of draw a blank. Like, I don't know that I got from the book the kind of stories it wants to tell, mainly because there's only like three main factions.
Hmm. Okay.
The three main factions being the people that work for Sati still, the butterflies who are like, no time travel ever, and then this religious cult.
Yeah. I mean, they're the stories that I would tell in a predation game are kind of akin to John Carter from Mars, if you're familiar with that at all. A lot of the artwork kind of gives me a similar vibe of like truly alien features and qualities, but using a lot of the same elements that you know and love. And Jesse's holding up the book to the screen for the listening audience.
Yeah, I have zero complaints about the art. It is badass pretty much
Hmm.
universally. There wasn't a single picture that I looked at. I was like, well, that's just silly.
Right. There's a cool thing about the way science fiction is handled in this game that makes it, and dinosaurs are perfect for it if you think about it. Because, like, what did we say, right? Dinosaurs are this like warm, cozy gimmick that you have in role playing games to run amok with, and Predation just does that perfectly. So it's got enough of the things that and then can provide this very alien aspect to it. So it's not going full Numenera is the way I would put it. You know, if you think that Numenera, speaking of the Cypher system, is too much for your group to handle, fucking do Predation then instead, because that'll give
And
them
also
enough.
consider hanging out with a weirder quality of friend.
That'll give you enough of the weird to go with the familiar and the pulp sci-fi of it all.
Okay, cool. One of those other things too that are there in the mechanics, and this is sort of the other dinosaur part. We've mentioned this as well, but I'm going to bring it back up again. I really like the companion system.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't heard a previous episode, the companion system is every PC has another character that is their dinosaur companion that is played by a different person at the table.
Yep. I think that's so smart. We in our last episode we talked about how problematic animal companions can be. And I think that this helps address one of those core problems, which is how do you role play your animal companion's personality? How do you not just default into making it an extension of yourself? How do you keep it from just being like an extra set of attacks or that
Yeah.
useful thing it can do? Well, it's in the hands of another person at the table. So they have the personality of it, they control its actions, and you have to negotiate with the person next to you, to bring this aspect of your character to life. And everybody has one. That's the thing, is it isn't just one class that has a dinosaur. Everybody has a dinosaur. So it's like this extra layer of role play at the table, which, it seems so fucking awesome.
Yeah, I really really want to try that aspect of the system out a whole lot. I don't know if the mic picked that up, but something's going on the other side of that wall.
What's on the other side of the wall? A hellmouth?
The laundry room.
Oh, cool.
My desk is shaking.
Oh, wow.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I mean the character creation, they have a bunch of. Do you want to talk about Cypher characters real quick? What makes them up?
Yeah, so Cypher characters use these like core archetypes that we all know and love. There's the fightery character, there's the magic character, there's the speaker character, and it also uses these flavors, which I absolutely love. I wish this was in all role-playing games. I wish this is what 5th edition did with their backgrounds, where the cool thing about the Cypher system is it can give you a ton of options, but you can only choose a small amount of them. And that is the balancing factor of it. That's what I love about the classes in a Cypher System game that I've never played or run. But I love the idea of being like, here is something to expand your options, but you're still limited in how many things that you can choose. So it's not like overwhelmingly powerful, right? So
Yeah,
you can choose magic flavoring or stealth flavoring or tech flavoring. And there's, depending on the different kinds of games that you're running, they may have their own unique flavoring options in that. Once you've decided on that character, you choose a thematic element, and then you choose a foci, right? So
yep.
the thematic element is a descriptor, and
Like nimble, charming,
right,
strong, relentless.
and each one of these, if the Cypher system is worth its salt, it'll give you a bunch of starting descriptors depending on which game you're playing, version of it you're playing. It should give you, descriptors specific to that setting or specific to that concept or book. And you use that as a sentence that describes your character. My character is, class descriptor and then foci. The
And
foci,
the
go ahead.
sorry, the
No.
classes in this are the Karns, who are warriors, Techs, who are like the scientists and experimenters, the knowledge people, Terriks, who are like the skill-based, nimble characters, and Ostions, who are like your storytellers, shamans, magicians, using weird nanotech or plant spore-based, effectively magic.
Right. Right. And each one of them comes with their own set of abilities, which can be influenced by flavoring. And so when you go to make your character, you use a descriptor like chaotic or heroic. You could be a chaotic Ostion, and then you choose a foci. And foci are, ways that make your character unique, and it gives you benefits that really like bring out the flavor of your character. And there's essential foci that are basically in almost every Cypher system game in one form or another. And then there's ones that are specific to this game. Like this game has foci like self evolves or
Place
predates.
God.
Yeah. Which might be a little bit difficult to wrap your head around for just listening to this, but the normal sets of foci are like bears a halo of fire, right? Which means like that could go in many different directions. If you played a magic character who bears a halo of fire, you could be a fire sorcerer. You know,
Hmm.
if you played the fightery character that bears a halo of fire, you could be like a magical warrior of the fire element. You could be like a paladin of fire or whatever the case may be. So depending on the options of foci that you give your player characters, you can really round out some very interesting character concepts that really come alive at the table, or so I've heard because I've never played it or run it.
Yeah, it seems like there's a whole lot of options that would avoid the sameness just based on descriptors. Like if you played uh like the descriptor in front of your class, like some of the ones in this one, we have savage and we have like slick.
Mm-hmm.
A savage Karn is very different from a slick Karn, even though they're
Mm-hmm.
both fighters and could both be melee fighters. A savage tech who plays God is
Uh-huh.
that is the description of your character. That's going to give your character abilities. And what's really cool about that is each of your descriptors has a little table of possible links to the starting adventures, and each of your character classes or foci have a link to another PC. So this is just designed to do session zero, like
Mm-hmm.
together, because you got to pick one of these and talk it over with somebody else at the table. And then your party's connected to the starting adventure, connected to each other, and you're ready to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like character creation. I like the additions to Cypher they added. Things like plays God are really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Evolves themselves, self evolves, where you start like splicing you give yourself a cybernetic tail, or use like genetic engineering to make yourself part raptor. Like that's just neat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can't lie about that. Um, so
Please
yeah,
don't.
character creation. They got some great new options. Cypher System has pretty cool character creation to begin with. Um, the setting part, the setting chapters, it's so weird because like as you read a Cypher System book, one thing that you should keep an eye out is there are a ton of little sidebar callouts
Mm-hmm.
that are like either references to somewhere else in the book where they're talking about this thing, or this thing they mentioned gets more information. Sometimes it's potential GM intrusions, which are things the GM can throw at you for you to get experience points if he alters the story in a way that makes things more interesting or challenging for you. And sometimes it's just straight stats. And stats for monsters and NPCs are usually pretty easy because the DM doesn't roll any dice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's a level 5 at doing this, and level 5 just means if the PCs need to resist it, you take the level, you multiply it by 3, and that is the number you need to roll higher than.
Right.
So level 5, you need 15s. Level 6, you need, 18s. There you go. And so the thing that I really like about that is like I think Monte Cook Games realizes that no one reads an RPG book cover to cover,
Right.
except maybe me. And like so it's designed to help you guide your attention about whatever thing is interesting to you and hop around. But I feel like they need a guide to explain how to do that because even though it's a clever design choice, it's so unfamiliar to how most RPG books are laid out. But it's pretty universal across every Cypher book I've ever read.
Yeah. And for me, it took a little bit of getting used to because I'm like Ron Burgundy. You put it on the teleprompter, I'm going to say it, or you know what I mean? It's like if I'm looking at it, my eyes will go towards it. And so if I'm reading about the people of, the major city or area, the setting of Predation, and then I see something that says wet weave page 61, I'm instantly like, my finger, is headed towards page 61. It's like I've broken my concentration. It's like disrupted my reading pattern. So like
Yeah.
for me, it was very off-putting at first because I could not could not stay focused. I mean, maybe I have ADHD or something undiagnosed, but like it took a little bit of getting used to for me. But
No, it's different.
once you do it, once you get it down, you're good.
I was just realizing the other day I was making a very, very spoiled complaint to my wife. about like, why do all these RPG books have all these ribbons in them? I don't know what to do with all these ribbons just like hanging out of my books. Look at my bookshelf, look untidy. And she's like, they're to mark pages. I'm like, yeah, but it's an RPG book. There should be like 7 in each one, not just one ribbon. And like
Yeah.
this is one of those books where like I would love a ribbon in this, so I
Mhm.
can leave where I was when I jumped away to go read more about Upper Laramedia.
Yeah. You need 7 ribbons, each
7 at
one a
least.
different color.
Yes, and then you can braid them.
Yeah, different color, different texture, different size for each.
So yeah, like beyond like once you get used to it, it's really great to be able to just kind of guide your attention and follow what interests you like pretty intuitively. It makes it hard to read the whole thing in one setting unless you're studiously ignoring those sidebars, which is a mistake because there's so much color and interest in them. But yeah, that's a note about Cypher Systems that I think should be included in our review.
Perfect.
What did you think about the setting chapters?
I mean, it's interesting. The that is the part that I had previous to this review read the least amount of, and that's the part I'm glad that I read more of this time around. That's my humble apology, where I was like, I don't know if this game's for me. It's fucking awesome, but it's like, I did struggle with the overall setting. I've got to be honest with you. My initial impression of Predation was like, this would be a great one shot to teach the Cypher system. I don't
Mm.
really see long form stories or games or campaigns in this setting, and I was completely wrong about that. So this is my apology moment, Jesse. What did you think
Um,
of it?
so this is one of the areas where I really just I wish there were more.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it is a pretty slimline book.
Mm-hmm.
Like not to say that it's not there's not a bunch of stuff in there. There is, but I just kind of wanted more. Like the chapter I was most interested in was actually the one about Appalachia, the like Eastern Death Island continent, where
Right.
like there are not a lot of human settlements. And like everything was just a tiny little blurb. And I wish there were more factions, and I wish there were more like hooks for grand adventure. Because there's lots of
Gotcha.
little hooks like this person has a problem with like somebody's missing, and like that's okay, but I don't really need a hook for that traditional story. Like this person's like sibling went off on a journey and is missing in the jungle. Can you find them? Like I don't need a tip to come up with that plot. What are the ones that are specific between the 3 factions? And I wish there was more of that,
Mm-hmm.
other than like like the vibe you get from it is like Sadie is mysterious, possibly corrupt. There's a bunch of crazy NPCs out there that used to be big researchers and now they're not. The butterflies hate Sadie and are like slowly, carefully infiltrating everything. And then there's this religious cult off there doing their thing. And it didn't grab me as like a lot of really interesting hooks for story, which is what I would
Yeah.
want out of the setting chapter.
So are you kind of saying that like the factions seem kind of generic? Because
I'm
that's
just
how it's
saying I
coming
don't
off.
like I just wish there was more.
Okay.
Like I feel like a 3 faction binary, like 2 of the factions, yes, they're at loggerheads, Sadie and the butterflies. I should just look up this name so I stop saying the religious cult one. Like I need to remember that to mention them by name. So groups and organizations, page 116. And again, so much great art. Uh Using creatures, scientific versus common names. That person's fighting velociraptors with a knife. Good for them. Um, the Genesis Fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, like I can see how Sadie and the butterflies don't get along, and I can see the conflict there that needs PCs. Like, and I think the starting adventure actually, the like little starter set is like decide before you start playing if you're working for Sadie or working for the butterflies. You can do this adventure either way, but that pick one. Um, I can see the conflict there. I don't necessarily feel a lot of real urgency from the Gene 6 Fellowship in conflict, other than Sadie's like, oh, they're kind of superstitious with this religious thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but it's not like the third corner of the triangle of like conflict that to me gives you what you need to build interesting stories.
Okay. Maybe they were planning on like another book that goes into more stuff. It
I'll
seems
buy it
like
if it
a,
comes out. Like, I mean, I'm not a hater on this. I just like I don't know that I kind of feel like this to a much lesser extent, the way you felt about the Spelljammer box set.
oh, wow. That's a deep cut.
Yeah.
Wow. That really puts into perspective because just to kind of take us back to the beginning here before the end, the Spelljammer complaint was that I wanted crazy phenomenon and places to go and stuff to work with. And that's essentially what you're saying with these factions and other aspects of the book.
So I feel like there was that stuff, but there wasn't the connective tissue between all of those things in ways that made this kind of like potential story jump off the page.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I might just be lazy. I don't know.
No, I think it's a fair criticism. I wonder if this is one of those things where, some 40 something year old straight white guy on a podcast is like, I know everything about being a game developer and publishing a role playing game book, even though I have no practical experience or knowledge of any of these things. But, publishing a role playing game looks really difficult, and
Yeah.
and it seems like size constraints and publishing costs are a major problem. And I wonder if those things weren't developed the way that you're looking for because, that might have to be a thing you sacrifice about making a gaming book in the
Well,
modern era.
here's the weird thing that I'm going to say about this. I kind of felt this way about every Cypher book I've read.
That's a fair assessment.
Like I just wanted more connective tissue on the story stuff. The ciphers, the mechanics, the character creation, like all of that, great. Can't wait to try that. But as far
Mhm.
as actually even Numenera, it's like, here's a really weird place with a weird thing. Here's the next weird place with a weird thing. And I'm just like, but what do the two people that live in these places who are next to each other think about each other?
Yeah.
Because that's where there's a conflict, like to for the PCs to get involved and like have a story.
Yeah.
Like I felt that way about God's Fall. Um, I felt that way about Cypher. I felt that way about The Strange. I really felt that way about The Strange. I'm like, I like the idea from a high level view, but like, why? What's the conflict?
Hmm.
And I think that's basically it with a lot of the Cypher System books. I'm like, what's the conflict?
Right. Well, that makes sense. Maybe you should ask Montgomery Cook when you see him at Gen Con.
Be like, hi, Monty. Do you remember like 15 years ago when you met me and I called you a magnificent bastard because I was impressed with the Bane Warrens, which, by the way, has a Cypher System adaptation out.
They sure as shit do.
Yeah, they
And
do.
it's fucking awesome.
It's actually really cool looking.
Not
There's the
just for the
conflict
Bane
in that.
Warrens. Not just for the Bane Warrens, but all of Tolis too. Like there's he re-released or they re-released the Tolis books and then have a Cypher System conversion guide for it.
Yeah, it's dual 5e and Cypher System
That's right.
in one book.
That's right. So let's go ahead.
Yeah, maybe if I see him, I'll ask him. I don't know.
Yeah, just pull
I
him
mean,
aside.
of course, too, also like not a bad book.
It's a great book.
Like there's just this is the thing that I would have liked more of.
This is a Jesse preference,
Yes.
and it's not an exclusively Jesse preference. There's a lot of people that are looking for this kind of material in their settings. And I'm sure if the people who make Cypher System games were on with us right now, they'd be like, we would have absolutely loved to put all of that stuff and more into every book. But here's why we didn't, right?
Yeah, no, I can understand page limitations for publishing like cost reason.
I mean, the Cypher System is really good at doubling down on the things that really work. And you mentioned those, right? Like the foci, the ciphers themselves. There's a reason why it's called the Cypher System. The ciphers are the key to how the key to the fun of this game, the measured unpredictability of how the way the game is supposed to play, as at least as it appears to me on the page. Is the key. So like they've doubled down, and every Cypher System book doubles down on those things that are really working.
Yep. And like I said, like at the beginning of the episode, like 100% open to actually having dice hit the table and open to having my mind very much changed. And I expect it would be if I was actually playing a character in this setting.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the other thing too is, and I'm trying not to be reductive of your feedback or your critique of this part of the game, but like Jesse, you're a really good game mother. You could come up with that on your own, you know? You could take these two things or these multiple things happening in a predation game and be like, all right, here's how they're connected. You
Okay.
know,
Well, here's the comparison though on the other end, right?
yeah, give it to me.
When we were doing like the creation season and season 2, and we were working with Kevin Crawford's sign nominee stuff, there's almost no setting specific. All there is conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And like that, I'm just like, yeah, I can spring ideas. I can make up my own setting stuff. I can go, 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 go. So that's like all connective tissue, not a lot of meat. But there's so much connective tissue that you can grow the meat. I don't know. This weird organic metaphor is becoming awkward and creepy.
Yeah, plus the tables really help you out big time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would this game or any Cypher System be different in that regard if they were filled with the same level of tables that like the Sign Nominee games are? Would that solve your problem?
I think it would. It doesn't have to be the same level, just like a couple.
Mm-hmm. Like here's some tables to figure out what the conflicts are between these three factions. Here's how to
Yeah.
roll up some conflicts. I'm surprised more role-playing games don't do that, you know, because when we talked about Eberron, we talked about how Keith Baker wants everybody's Eberron to be different,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's slightly different or like ridiculously different. Like he just wants your Eberron to be your Eberron. And I'm surprised there aren't more, you know, gaming books and settings that are like, here's the factions that work, and here are some randomized ways to create conflict so that your version of X is different than somebody else's version of X. Like, you've really sold me on tables over the tenure of this podcast, Jesse.
Well, if I can do one service for you, sir, it's that. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I just need a spark. That's all I need.
Yeah. And most people do, you know, especially, you know, in our modern lives where there's never enough time to do anything, you know, the way that you wanted to completely. Um, any kind of tools or systems you can, you know, help somebody out and getting their game together, I think is a plus. Even if they just put that out digitally, you
Yeah.
know, the
I
Predation
got,
game could have everything that you're mentioning, and then there could be a thing that says, "Hey, if you're looking for Jesse Sauer style conflicts to throw into your game, go to the Predation Cypher System website for some tables."
yep. And I will say too, like reading separate from this review, reading the like the I think Kickstarter reward, I bought it, but like it came with a humble bundle, I think. The like Kickstart adventure,
Mm-hmm.
like where it's actually like an adventure plot. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. They need to break into this old research facility and do this thing before, but the dinosaur guards have gone a little crazy and blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, cool. I can see that there's a conflict here,
Yeah.
right? But I mean,
You're talking
like,
about the Caudor complex.
yes, the Cawdor complex. Like, okay, they've got a thing called the Kingdom of New Humans, and it's like 4 paragraphs. But like the Kingdom of New Humans is like way off the map from anything else. So it's like, what do other people think of them? Look,
Mhm.
there's just this group of people in this weird corner of this lawless place. And I'm like, that doesn't to me necessarily like what's the hook to go there? What's the problem these people have that needs solved? I don't know. Like I'm belaboring the point at this point. So we've actually gone long on this episode, so we'll just recap impressions, if that's
Mhm.
cool. Character creation, love it. Mechanics for the dinosaurs, love it. The art with all the pictures of weird raptors with bioluminescent patches on their body from genetic engineering, love it. Setting itself, it's interesting, but I would have liked more built-in conflict between the peoples who live there to help me spark adventure ideas.
Well said.
And you?
I love this game. I wish I could play it at some point. I was wrong about it in the beginning. I thought it was but that's on me for not reading the entire book. And that's also on me because I got a hold of all the Cypher systems probably, at the same time you did, because I think you sent me the link to that Humble bundle. And so like I'm a victim of my own, my stomach was larger than my eyes, or my eyes were bigger than my stomach. I'm fucking up my metaphors here, but basically Jesse sent me a link. There's a Humble bundle up with all these Cypher system games in it. And I was like, fuck, I'm gonna get this. And I went through all the books, just like rapid fire. So my initial assessment on this game was not fair or adequate because I had that recency aspect to it. But the more I read about it, the more I really liked it. The more I was like, I want to use this. I want to use this. I want to use this. I don't have the same issues as Jesse does about, the connective tissue aspect. Although I respect where you're coming from with that, that makes a lot of sense to me. I just think if I'm going to run this game, I'm going to keep the scale small and I'm going to branch out from there and really use what the player characters create to kind of generate those problems, right? So the player characters need to be from one of these factions. I'm not getting enough from the book, so I'm going to start pressing the player characters to come up with their conflicts, and we can take
Yeah.
care of that in a session 0, or we can move that along as the game progresses. What I'm more interested in is dinosaurs, genetic manipulation, time anomalies. I mean, come on. Like, I'm already on board with this. I'm already excited about it. I love the ciphers. Someday I want to fucking play this game or run it. And that's my rundown.
Something you just said made me think about it. Like I've been approaching this book from a game mother perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's where my critique lies. If I think about it from a player perspective of someone that wants to play in this game, man, this is a great book.
Fuck yes. Yeah. I think that is kind of the game mother's curse or the dungeon master's curse. You know, like as game mothers, we create worlds and vast stories and create rich tapestries and overwork and fill up binders of stuff that's never going to get used, or at least I do. But from the player's perspective, it's like they want to do a cool thing. They want to create a cool backstory that probably involves their parents getting killed by orcs and they're out for revenge. And that's it, you know? So let the players do a cool thing. And this game lets you do a lot of cool things.
So many cool things for players to do. Okay, cool, cool. Well, listeners out there, if you've played Predation and we're totally off base, drop us a comment in the YouTube below or send us an email at jauntymantis@gmail.com. And until next time, keep playing those fucking role-playing games.
Yeah. And Shannon Germain or Bruce Cornell, great job. And anybody else who worked on this book. I don't know. Did
Yeah,
we mention
seriously,
the people who
great
wrote it?
job. Despite my critique, still a fan, still want to play it.
Yes. Great game. Just keep playing those fucking role playing games.